Alright, so yeah, I think we're ready to get started here. Just give me 1 second. Alright, so hope that looks nice on stream. Alright, so spotting down here in the bottom right side of the map, we have plain in the purple as Protoss. It is Rhizer. Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, my mic is on. Just wondering. And up in the top left, we have in the orange playing Protoss as well. It is Drumhead. Alright, so these will be some best of 5s. Some good old best of 5s. Just 1 second. Yeah, I just need to pop out my chat text real quick. Because I don't actually want to, I guess I should get the video up, that might be a bit better. Alright, so, let's see what we got going on here for both players. Double gas to start this off, not unsurprising or unexpected. Yeah, pretty normal from for PvP, I believe. Especially when you're going for a double gate opener. These were pretty common in this patch. I'm not sure how common they are now. And there's Rhizer again, doing that really annoying thing he does where he, I assume he's alt tapping, and then he comes back in, and it pops up with fucking, like, protect my base ping. Yeah, look, he does it again. Fuck's sakes, Rhizer. Alright, so Drumhead is coming across the map here, and yeah, we'll see what he decides to scout, or what he decides to do. We see Rhizer's probe coming in at a similar time, so probably no proxies coming out of either of these players just yet. Baited. Jabaited. Right, and looks like Rhizer's build is a bit more optimized here than Drumhead's, but still Drumhead is able to get out his first couple of stalkers faster than Rhizer. So, what did Rhizer do wrong? Oh no, Rhizer's just opting to go for a Mothership Core first. I think that's definitely a safer option in most cases, because obviously, like, the faster you get the Mothership Core out, the more energy gets banked up on it. I'm also not sure, because I noticed Rhizer had 2 probes on each gas, but I'm not sure if Rhizer had 2 probes on each gas, or sorry, if Drumhead had 2 probes on each gas as well, or if he had opted for 3 on each, which with this later Nexus is leading to believe that it was 3 on each gas for a bit longer. And we see that paying off already with the addition here of the robotics facility. And that's a lot quicker than whatever tech Rhizer is going to go for, as we can see Rhizer hasn't even gotten a tech yet. Yeah, we'll see how this pays off here. 1 sec, I just need to change my mouse sensitivity. There we go, much better. Yeah, it's pretty annoying when I'm, like, casting on the sensitivity I play at, because, you know, you want to keep these, like, steady, longer shots. You don't want to be, like, scrambling around. Looks much better when you can kind of just focus on, like, you know, one thing on the screen. It's like making a movie. But, obviously players don't play that way. They don't play as if they are a movie. And we can see already Rhizer getting that earlier Nexus. He's already benefiting a lot from it. At 32 probes to 24 of Drumhead. I think that does have to do a bit with Drumhead maybe forgetting to build workers consistently. Because it doesn't take long. You know, if you forget to make a worker for 3 seconds every 2 workers built, you know, that piles up pretty quickly. Right, and we see a little move out here from Drumhead. I'm not sure exactly what this is going to accomplish. These 2 sentries are a bit confusing for me. I understand them defensively, but offensively, I really don't feel like they are as strong. Especially, I don't see the Mothership Core of this army just yet. Looks like that's it heading across the map. But it's not with this army right now, and Rhizer has a superior stalker count. With Defender's advantage in this matchup, in this current patch, there's really not a whole lot that I feel like Drumhead can accomplish, and he already loses a sentry that has almost full energy. He does have a Warp Prism here, so he'll be able to warp in some reinforcements. And that's actually not the Mothership Core, that's back at home for Drumhead. Yeah, not sure how I feel about this. Losing 2 sentries already. He does pick off a couple sentries there from Rhizer, but still, I think Rhizer's a lot more comfortable losing those in this defense. Especially since he has a couple pylons up still. He has about 3 photon overcharges available to him. And he has Blink on the way. One thing Drumhead has been able to do with this, though, is neither player has been able to expand just yet. Of course, you don't really expand as quickly in PvP. But if he wasn't over here on the map, he wouldn't know if Rhizer had expanded or not. And meanwhile, he gets up his own expansion behind us as well. So he's going to be in a bit better spot long-term economically. Currently, he's not doing so great. He has a low worker count. He's on less gas than Rhizer. Rhizer's mining a lot more. I'm not sure if maybe Drumhead just was too busy on the other side of the map fighting to... Yeah, this is a real throwback retro cast. But I'm not sure if Drumhead was maybe focusing a bit too much on his attack. Alright, so we do have charge on the way here for Drumhead. Pretty common in this matchup, in this patch. Probably still, even with how strong stalkers seem to be now. Alright, a couple more sentries down here for Rhizer. And Rhizer has a pretty decent sentry count. You know, 5's a pretty good number. That's still a lot of gas, though. Normally, I think I tend to prefer 3 or 4. And this might seem like a bit of a nitpick, but still, like 100 gas, that's a lot of gas to put into something in PvP specifically. You know, that could have been some stalkers, that could have been an immortal, could have been a lot of things. It could have been an upgrade. You know, that each sentry is a lost opportunity as far as I'm concerned. And you have to make something of them first. Right. So it looks like we have Rhizer here posturing. As you can see, Rhizer feels comfortable to move in here because he has that Overseer watching the Drumhead's army, whereas Drumhead is not really paying attention. He doesn't have anything out on the map to scout preemptively. And you can see Rhizer taking a really great engage at the top of this ramp here. Actually force fielding in a bunch of Drumhead stuff. A couple of these Immortals getting locked in there. Even getting picked off right away. Drumhead's army just can't fight up this at all. Like, it's going to be so cost inefficient. And looks like Rhizer's just going to stomp his way through here, even blinking right on top of all these Stalkers and Immortals. And I think this could be the end of game 1 here. Yeah, no probes at that natural anymore. The entire army here for Drumhead is gone, and Rhizer's going to just pick away at this 3rd base. Meanwhile, back at home, Rhizer has a 3rd base of his own, so... yeah, Rhizer's doing pretty good, and GG is called. Oops, I just opened Steam by accident. Alright, so now we have to go through the awesome process of logging back in so that I can continue to cast. And Steam, would you frig off? God damn it. It's okay, Drumhead. We still love you as friends. Alright, so we're loading up in here into game 2. This one's going to be on Ascension Ire. Emo chat up in here. I'm trying to think of like awful songs to play now. Some good old 2000s pop punk. Alright, so spawning up here in the top left corner, we have here in the purple, it is Rhizer. And down here in the bottom right, we have playing in the orange as Protoss, it is Drumhead. Alright, so this is a pretty early probe here from Rhizer. Not sure, I wouldn't call this like a proxy probe, but like, you know, this guy, he'll see some stuff. Yeah, this is more like the anti-proxy probe. Because the sooner you get in here, the sooner you can see where the pylons are. And hopefully count whenever the next one goes down. Because obviously, I think like this... Oh, what the fuck's Rhizer doing? I think Rhizer's trying to bait him into thinking he's cannon rushing. Yeah, I really don't think that was worth it, but you know... Maybe the emotional stress that he put Drumhead under just doing that was worth it. Of course, even doing shit like that, like even though like you can say from an economic standpoint, like that wasn't worth it. Just doing that and like having Drumhead kind of freak out a bit at the start and like try to react. He didn't overreact, but he pulled like 5 or 6 probes, which is reasonable, especially if you know Rhizer and know that he does have a tendency to cannon rush on occasion. But, you know, still, it's... Oops. It can be kind of demotivating. Or not demotivating, but you know what I mean. It can be annoying. That's what I mean to say. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna have a bit of a proxy robo here off to start this off. And doesn't look like Rhizer went for a 2-gate, or sorry, Drumhead went for a 2-gate. I'm not sure if that was a giveaway because Rhizer did skirt that, and he should have skirted that there was no natural. So he's probably wondering, like, obviously where that money went. Or maybe not wondering, but he probably knows where that money went, and it's in a building not near his near Drumhead's base. And it looks like with this 2-gate opening, Rhizer's just gonna rally a bunch of stalkers across the map because he realizes that with his higher gateway count, that he can produce a lot more units currently than Drumhead can. And okay, it looks like Drumhead will be getting a Mothership Core, but still, with 4 stalkers, he can do a hell of a lot of damage. Even they've already picked off 2 adepts, that's pretty big with like how little units Protoss tends to produce at the start of games. So it looks like we will have our first Immortal coming out here. That Mothership Core is going to be the bane of its existence, though, as it can just feel free to rain damage down on it, and that Immortal can't really do anything about it. And Drumhead doesn't really have a huge follow-up for this. It looks like Rhizer's doing a similar thing to him too, actually. So yeah, this Immortal can get a decent amount of probes. Looks like it's just A-clicked up here. Drumhead really not targeting it that well. He's too busy in the main here defending against these 4 stalkers. And these 4 stalkers are getting a hell of a lot of damage, a lot more than Drumhead was able to do with his Immortal back at Rhizer's base. Looks like that Immortal did get cleaned up by the Photon Overcharge. The other Photon Overcharge is still active and did a lot of damage to that Immortal. And again, a bit of unnecessary micro there. Drumhead's trying so hard on both fronts here to keep himself alive, but unfortunately these stalkers in his base are really just it's not great. Whoops. I tried to click on one of those stalkers. My bad. What song is this? Kermit sings Hurt.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, the old familiar sting, try to kill it all away, but I remember everything.
I think that's a bit too loud.
What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. You could have it all. My empire of dirt. I won't.
Okay, I think that's enough of that. Oops. Okay, so on to our third map now. Drumhead down 2-0. And his opponent here, down the bottom left, we have Rhizer. And our rising star Protoss himself, Drumhead. Not looking too great in this series. Has Drumhead fallen off? Maybe Rhizer's just too good. But wait a minute here. So if we use some quick math and deduce from this, so Frogs beats Rhizer. That means Frogs is better than Rhizer. Drumhead can't beat Rhizer, so that must mean that Frogs is also better than Drumhead. Also, that probe looks funny. Whenever probes move, it just looks like they're sliding around for me. Like, it doesn't even look like... I don't know, like if you got rid of that little trail behind it, like, it would just look like it was like clip-arted across the map. Yeah, I'm gonna say here first, folks. Frogs is better than Drumhead. If you want Protoss builds, ask Frogs. He can show you a really sick. Will was there for that game with the double proxy robo where he built like fucking like 6 warp prisms. That was a great Frogs game. I can't remember who the Tyranny was playing. I think it was Doom actually. Doom was playing Terra. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't see Drumhead making 6 warp prisms. Yeah, dude, Frogs is just letting you win. Alright, so you do have a bit of a difference in builds here, I think. Because, I mean, Rhizer's getting that Nexus. I think he opted to get that instead of these earlier Stalkers. And also, Frogs would never do this. Frogs would always have 3 workers mining Vespian at all times. No more, no less. Also, Frogs would never get pylon blocked. Also, Frogs would have killed that instead of Rhizer canceling it. He would have made Rhizer forget. Frogs should be playing versus Rhizer right now. Right, so it looks like we have a Twilight Council coming out here out of Drumhead. Let's see what he decides to go into. I assume it's going to be for Blink. I can't really think of anything else. How Frogs have played this better. Yeah. I'm gonna wait and pick like some great moments to point that out. Alright, and we have a robo facility on the way too. Resonating Glaives, not quite sure about this. Yeah, I don't really see Resonating Glaives too often in PvP. Just not very common in, from my knowledge. Obviously, I'm not a Protoss player. I'm not Rival Siegfried, in case the viewers were wondering. But yeah, I don't really see this too often in PvP. I just think adepts are just obviously not as great. Protoss obviously doesn't really have many light units, other than other adepts. So like, there's just not as much of a reason to go for it. Of course, they do still it does still pay off when you're fighting other workers. So if Drumhead can do some decent harass with this, then I think he can make this work. But I'm not sure how this will pay off in the long run. That is a very long and expensive upgrade. Obviously, all upgrades are expensive. And yeah, especially in PvP, like if you waste too many of your units, like your opponent just walks across the map and kills you because, you know, Protoss units are so strong. So we have the first Warp Prism here. Looks like those ones from that campaign mission where you gotta kill them before they get to the Stargates or whatever the fuck. Because you need to keep them away from somewhere. I don't know. So Rhizer has pretty decent vision of Drumhead, so he should know that something is coming. 4 apps will be dropped from this prison shortly. Rhizer does have a bunch of units in position though, so these adepts are getting a couple probe kills. And they do all get out, none of them get picked off, so, you know, that's decent. The thing though is that Drumhead is still down in probes, so he's only really evened this up a bit. He hasn't evened it up that much. And he's even floating a bunch of money. He doesn't even have a... He needs to have a probe come over here soon to build a base. Like, if Frogs were playing right now, there would be like a third... There'd probably be like at least 5 saturated bases on the map right now. But yeah, that's not... We don't really... Like, it's not fair to compare Frogs to Drumhead. We all know, like, the differences in skill and talent. So a bunch of stalkers here from Rhizer are going to head back up to his base. And it looks like instead of building a third base, Drumhead did decide to go for a huge amount of adepts here. Warping in quite a lot. Don't know how many gates. Let's see. It's on quite a few gateways. On 8, yeah. So that's a lot of adepts that can be warped in. And they all do have resonating glaives. No other upgrades for them just yet, but photon overcharge does go down. And stalkers trade pretty well versus adepts. Munties do have a lot of attack speed, so they can get quite a lot of damage put out, even if it's not the, you know, most efficient damage. And all the stalkers from Rhizer do blink up into the main. There's some adepts attacking the mineral line too. A lot of probes here going down for Rhizer, and looks like Drumhead actually might be able to take this game. This is looking pretty good. A bunch more adepts getting warped in here. Of course, these stalkers are, they do a +1 now. I'm not sure if they had that at the start of the fight. But they're still obviously better, like 1-to-1 with adepts. With some good blink micro though, it looks like Rhizer will be able to trade really cost efficiently here versus these adepts. Even if that force field there denied a lot of surface area for the adepts to get on the stalkers. And stalkers are just going to keep being blinked back once they get low. And not a whole lot Rhizer can do versus this. And this is still a lot of army being traded off. I feel like it would have been better after that first part to just back off and try to macro up a bit more. But still, very hard call to make. Of course, Drumhead doesn't know how many workers he's killed. He doesn't know that Rhizer's down to 16 workers. He might think that Rhizer's down to very few, but it's hard to tell. And the thing is, this third base even, I think, is a mistake here from Drumhead currently. Like, he just needs warp-ins. He just needs them, like, ASAP. He really can't afford to have any units over here. Oh my god, Drumhead doesn't even have a Mothership Core, so he has no defense. His Stalker Force is going to be deadly. There's nothing Drumhead can do versus this. If Frogs was in this matchup right now, Frogs would have just... He would have had a Mothership Core, and he would have had a bunch of units at home. He would have had 8 Warp Prisms to micro 1 adept, and it would have killed 20 Blink Stalkers. And I think this might just be checkmate here for Drumhead. This army is way too strong for him to fight head-to-head now, especially after he traded all of those adepts. And no force field here, actually. On the ramp, these Stalkers just continue to march up, and they target down an Immortal, run up the ramp, and they're just going to continue to mow down the rest of Drumhead's forces. And not much else, I think, is left here for Drumhead. A bit of a mistake there to make that third base. I don't think he realized exactly what Rhizer was doing. Or maybe he forgot that he did have a Mothership Core. But just wasn't able to defend. Maybe he was hoping he could keep Rhizer back if he just continued to harass. But it looks like, you know, Rhizer's going to be okay with that. And GG is called. And that's going to be Rhizer taking this series.